Hello, I'm Ann Green, and welcome to We've Got Books. Greetings from the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. I'm privileged to live in Texas, a state where bluebonnets adorn open fields in the spring, and where you can find canyons, caves, and islands, along with the flattest plains. I hope you're having a great day. Together with Lana Newman-Cruzy and James Yarbrough, we're inviting you to join us here at We've Got Books. And yes, we have mounds of books waiting for you in a variety of genres: suspense, westerns, comedy, romantic comedy, women's fiction, historical and contemporary romance. Definitely something for everyone.
Hello, I'm Lana Newman-Cruzy.
And I'm James Yarbrough.
We've Got Books is guaranteed to be informative and fun. It is our pleasure to feature guest authors and their books, along with our books too. You'll become acquainted with real authors and learn why they write, what prompted them to begin their career, and how they create those entertaining, memorable characters. We'll sit around the table with each author and get to know the person and the novel. We promise to delight you with great Christian fiction. And now, Lana Newman-Cruzy is ready to interview one of our own from We've Got Books, James Yarbrough, about one of his books. So, grab your cola, cup of coffee, or tea, and sit back and enjoy this exciting ride into the literary world.
Jim, welcome to the podcast. You've been interviewed before on We've Got Books about several of your books, but today we're going to focus on one of yours you haven't talked to us about. Is that correct?
Well, thank you, Lana. Yes, you are right. This book is in the cozy mystery genre, and it's entitled Mystery at Grantham Lake.
Cozy mystery, huh? Would you define this genre for our listeners?
Yes, I will. I will quote that authoritative source, Wikipedia. Quote, "Cozy mysteries, also referred to as cozies, are a subgenre of crime fiction in which the detective is an amateur sleuth and the crime and detection take place in a small, socially intimate community." Unquote. Well, plus any kind of unsavory activity like violence occurs off script. I will quickly add that there is a big dollop of comedy in Mystery at Grantham Lake. The main characters are Christians, and the novella is for all ages. So maybe this book is in a subgenre of the cozy mystery subgenre, sort of a fun subgenre of crime fiction.
Okay, Jim, now how many times can we say sub? To tee up this for listeners, let me read the back cover, a summary of Mystery at Grantham Lake. A luxury resort amid pines and lakes, a psychologist's convention, and triple grand theft auto and a suspicious death. What does all this mean? A cozy mystery starring Dr. Greg Chambers and his down-home assistant, Carol Kramer. That's what. Join the competition to snoop out suspects and solve a crime that no one saw coming. Or maybe that never even happened. Okay, there's a lot of plot to unfold, and as the summary says, the main characters are ones who have appeared in other stories you've written, Jim.
Well, that's right, Atlanta. For those listeners who have read any of my humor short stories featuring Christian psychologist Dr. Greg Chambers and his licensed therapy assistant Carol Kramer, you know them, and they are the main characters in Mystery at Grantham Lake. And if you do know Greg and Carol, you're not surprised there are different ways of looking at problems and, in the process, getting on each other's nerves and getting in each other's way, come out in madcap fashion in this cozy mystery as well. Plus, we encounter some other characters from my humor short stories, like Dr. Harry Newman, the curmudgeon friend of Greg's, who is hilariously plain-spoken to a fault, and Greg's sweet wife, Sherry, who always tries, mostly unsuccessfully, to bring Greg back down to reality. Then there are characters unique to Mystery at Grantham Lake, like the award-winning manager of the Grantham Lake Resort, a dashing, articulate, and mysterious Swiss gentleman who all the women at the conference swoon over, and who all the men resent, Mr. Gaston Chablais. And then there's Sheriff Jameson, who I think we'll hear from in a second, and lots of other suspicious characters, too.
Well, let's hear from the Sheriff Jameson now. Would you read an excerpt, Jim?
Absolutely. So this conversation I'll read occurs after the county sheriff, Mr. Jameson, arrives to investigate what's occurred and comes face to face the first time with Carol Kramer, who, Carol being Carol, after all, has already started her own investigation. Sheriff, I absolutely am not questioning your authority. Believe me. Carol squeezed her hands into white-fisted lap knots. Listen close, Miss Kramer. I may have gotten a call from the Greenville Police Department advising me to pay attention to you, but that don't mean I have to, and it sure don't mean I have to like it. The sheriff straightened his belt, holding his holster. So no ordering my interviewees around, elsewise I could really get annoyed. You copy that? Yes, sir. Sheriff Beauregard Jameson eyed her with a backwoods scorn that could have burned the silver polish off a brand new trailer hitch. Hanging from a barrel chest, his meaty biceps ballooned from his short-sleeved shirts and turned inward, highlighting a beer gut that must have been 20 years in the making. The spine of his 5'5" or so frame curved to cope with his bulk.
So, Carol had better stay in her lane, huh?
Well, you'd think so, but she doesn't. Carol is the tireless amateur sleuth. Like in this next excerpt, Carol and Sheriff Jameson a little bit later. Carol approached Jameson. So not one of the stolen cars had a working security system. What does that tell you, Sheriff? I see no need to talk over my theories with you, Miss Kramer. Sheriff Jameson gripped the door, pulling it open. Carol continued. Well, maybe that tells you the thief knew exactly which cars had working security systems and which didn't. But that wouldn't be easy with 100 cars in the parking lot, and they having been there only a few hours, would it? Unless, of course, the thief had access to the lodge's registration records, which the guests, had to list their cars and year, make, model, and plus they made some good guesses. Or maybe, Miss Kramer, you're on a deep-sea fishing expedition. He stepped back toward her. Or maybe what? Carol crossed her arms. Or maybe the thief knew the victims so well personally that he or she knew their cars had no security. Or maybe there are some other guests outside the conference who masterminded the whole operation. Jameson shook his head. Can't be. The lodge is filled up with these conference goers. Yes, but that don't count the 78 people in the campgrounds. Jameson rubbed his eyebrows. 78, huh? Carol nodded. I got the list from the registration clerk. Checking out these people now with a deputy back at your office. Rummage, isn't that his name? Jameson scowled. Rutledge. And who said you could check with him? And one other possibility. Yeah? The sheriff exhaled. What? Carol half smiled. The cars were never stolen, and Joyce McMillan's husband was murdered.
Wow. Carol is brilliant, but treading on thin ice with the sheriff. But you said Greg is in competition with her?
Well, Greg thinks he is. Here's an excerpt from a bit later in Mystery at Grantham Lake, where Greg has convinced his friend Harry Newman to help him go on a little nighttime investigation using some very low-budget equipment. Harry squatted into the azaleas, pink blossoms raining down. Chambers, you dragged me from my bed to tiptoe around this house in the middle of... Shh! Greg took a knee. Try whispering, will you, Harry? Middle of nowhere? Harry rasped. And I'm supposed to do what? Greg leaned closer to the old man. Like I said, take this wire. It's got an adhesive. Stick it on the lower part of that window pane. Greg pointed to the big picture window. Here's the catch. Don't get caught. That woman Anne Marie is in there, and Chablais will be home soon. What does this thing do, Chambers? Greg patted the electronics box beside him. It's a hypersensitive device that zeroes in on sound waves and translates conversation. Plus, I've hooked up a recorder to it, so we'll get whatever they say and document it. I picked up all this today at the Army-Navy surplus store in Centerville. Harry smirked. Isn't that where James Bond shops?
That's good, Jim. So how does all this end? Is it Greg? Is it Carol? Sheriff Jameson? Or someone else? Who solves the crime? Or is there a real crime?
Well, I can't really say, Lana, but I'll give a hint. Later on, Greg is talking to Harry. Saul of Tarsus, door-to-door encyclopedia salesman, and SpongeBob SquarePants after his show was canceled. Greg fiddled with a stirrer in his coffee cup. Harry settled into the restaurant booth opposite Greg. Chambers, I think you'd better keep that head shrink appointment you have with me next week. I only ask you how you're doing. Greg winced. Like those individuals I mentioned, I'm sitting here refiguring my purpose in life. Harry raised an eyebrow. Well, at least you're not mad at me anymore. Greg grunted. I'm not?
Hey, but you're not going to tell us the ending.
Well, I would say YWHTRTB. That's the abbreviation for you will have to read the book. I can just say that there are, as the French-speaking Gaston Chablais might say, beaucoup twists and turns before the mystery is solved.
Okay, beaucoup. So tell us where listeners can find Mystery at Grantham Lake.
Well, you can find the book at Amazon Books. Please search for me, James Yarbrough. My last name is spelled Yarbrough, in Amazon Books, and select the title, Mystery at Grantham Lake. You can listen to a free audio sample of the book and read a free sample, too. You can purchase a Kindle, paperback, or audio version of the novella. I also encourage listeners to visit my website, jamesYarbroughAuthor.com, to get additional information about me and my writing, and to sign up for my free newsletter.
This is Anne Green again. Well, thank you, Lana and Jim, for a delightful interview. But, as happens all too often, our time has gone by in a flash. So we must bid farewell from deep in the heart of Texas and hope you enjoyed your time with us as much as we enjoyed having you. Join us next time when we interview guest author Greg Scott about his book, Trafficking You. I'm Anne Green with Lana Newman-Cruzy and James Yarbrough saying goodbye for now, and read a good book for enlightenment, edification, encouragement, and for laugh-out-loud entertainment. We hope you'll choose one of our fabulous books from We've Got Books. See you next time, and keep on reading.